Okay, good evening. This is Bill, K6KRQ, your net control operator for the River City Amateur Radio Communication Society Slow Scan TV Net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.3 megahertz. River City ARCS members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break, break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
AE6JG.
November Hotel Alpha, Bill and Roseville.
N6YG, George and Lincoln.
Alpha India 6 Delta Golf, Joel in Florence.
November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec, Bob in Northmost Roseville.
Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta Carol in Citrus Heights.
Nice. We got a pretty good crowd again tonight. So first I got James, AE6JG. And I got Bill, N6HA. We got George out in Lincoln, N6YG. I got Joel, AI6DG. Is that right, Joel? I should know this by now.
Alpha India 6 Delta Golf, I think you got it right.
Okay, and then right after Joel, I forget, come back, right before Carol, come back again.
This is November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec, Bob in Northmost Roseville.
I should have known that too. Sorry about that. I got you now. And I got Carol. Is there anybody else? Okay. Hey, Carol, if you could do me the solid, if you see any commentary on YouTube, anybody in the chat box, feel free to break in, okay?
Yeah, sure. We have Craig from Louisiana, and Whiskey Papa 2 November says good evening to y'all from WP2N Portable 5.
Nice. Hopefully we can give them a pretty decent show. Okay, so the order I'm going to go, I'll go James, Bill, George, Joel, Bob, and Carol. So first up, James, do you have a picture ready for us? If so, let us know.
Bill, thank you. Yes, I do. So it's PD 120.
Thank you, James. That's a killer picture. I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but I'm going to let you guys and gal do the talking tonight. Let's go to Bill, November 6th, Hotel Alpha. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, very cool photo. A good amount of pixel pops. Pave pause is active today, but clear photo otherwise. This is cool. These look like anti-air guns. At first, I thought it was a Yagi on a rotator because I just saw metal pointed towards the air. So I was like, oh, James got an AC rotator and satellite set up already. But then I saw the rest of it, and that's quite the artillery. So I don't know where this is at, but it's pretty cool. That's really neat they let you get that close to it. So I'm interested to hear more. N6HA.
Thanks, Bill. Let's hear what George has to say. November 6th, Yankee Golf. Come on.
Well, I don't have much more to add. It looks like anti-aircraft munitions. Picture came over well. Only a few pixel pops, so I'm getting some multipath in the signal. The multipath kind of manifests itself as little squiggly waves running through the picture. You actually have to kind of open it up and magnify it to see it. But other than that, it came over real well. I'm not sure where this is located, but again, it looks like anti-aircraft munitions. So, kind of reminds me of a little story of school where, actually I won't go into that. Anyhow, back to Ned.
Thanks, George. Does anybody else want to comment before I go back to James?
N6PGQ.
Come on, Bob.
George, I don't see any squiggles at all, and I've got mine magnified, and I'm going to throw my 1 cent in. I'm almost always wrong on some of these, but I would think that some of the anti-aircraft stuff would have more elevation than this one looks like it has. But it's going to be interesting to find out where this is and what's way in the background that's not, one of these things is not like the other. Anyway, N6PGQ.
Anybody else before the big reveal? Okay, James, I'm willing to bet this was from your trip to San Diego, but tell us about your picture.
Thanks, Bill. And Bill, thanks for running the net tonight. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so this was, remember last week I sent a picture of a John Deere tractor from Liberty Station in San Diego. This is also from Liberty Station, which has been converted, to peacetime use. These are guns off ships. You can see the 3 in the foreground, and then there's 3 or 4 more off to the right of the picture, and they're just on display. You can go right up to them. They were mounted on various ships. They are, 50 caliber, maybe more. I should have taken a picture of the plaque. But these are the real guns off the ships that were used to defend the ships, possibly for anti-aircraft. I think these are very versatile guns, which is why they use them. They're relatively light, so to speak, and anti-submarine, anti-airplane, anything on any ship. Back to you, Bill. 86JG.
Oh, thanks for that, James. That's a good picture. I thought that they might have been deck guns off of submarines, but there's quite a few of them there. Anyway, this is Bill, K6KRQ. We're going to go now to Bill, the other Bill, November 6th, Hotel Alpha. Do you have a picture for us, Bill?
Yeah, I do. Let me do a quick tone. I was messing with things, so let me know if you hear anything.
I got a tone. Go ahead. You may fire when ready.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. This is going to be PD-120 and 6HA.
got hit by the repeater ID. We're going to go to Joel this time, AI6DG. Joel, tell us what you think.
Very clean reception, hardly any pops at all. Look like the repeater ID down towards the bottom. You've got two pictures left and right. They're both at the beach. The left, we've got a beach in the middle foreground with a bunch of footprints around it and some rocks in the background at the water line with water and waves and a beautiful sunset in the background. Foreground, we've got some fingers holding something and some things next to it. I can't quite tell what they are. That's the left image. The right image is looking down at someone kneeled in the sand with their hands on the sand in front of them around a huge hole, a big hole that they've dug with something that's white and brown at the bottom of it that looks kind of tubular. And what looks like a metal detector head end on the sand beside them. So I'm assuming they've been digging, metal detecting in the sand and found something interesting. Back to net, AI6DG.
Thank you, Joel. How about you, Carol, KP4MD? What's your view?
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. I got a really good picture. I think maybe only about half a dozen pixel pops I can see. And yeah, I do see that little stripe there from the repeater ID. I have to say we had a total of 12 viewers on the YouTube. Now we're down to 10 right now. But Alan has checked in. They're from Imperial Valley, California, K6AGW. Stuart, N6DVM is not set up to send any pictures, but he is following along on YouTube, and he does have some questions because he says he has 2 new setups for slow scan TV that he'd like to try next week, but he has some questions about them. So I told him he'd be welcome to go ahead and ask about those after we send the group here sends our pictures. But that kind of looks like, I don't know if that's the true SDX, that little radio in the hands there in the lower left-hand corner. That's what I'm guessing. It kind of resembles the front of the true SDX HF transceiver or QRP one. So back over to you. This is Killer Pop for Mike Delta.
Thank you, Carol. I kind of thought that one on the left was similar to what you demonstrated last night. Any more comments on this picture before we go on to the next send?
Well, you have to ask Bill to explain it. Over.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Bill. I too am dying to know what the treasure is there on the right.
Yeah, thank you. It was quite the treasure. So the picture on the left is a true SDX with a external speaker, because the internal speaker is very bad, and a homebrew NFED antenna. You can see very small 28 gauge wire in the sand, and it's going to a pole in the sand over there. And then on the right is actually we're metal detecting, and we're digging with our hands. And the whole time we're saying, oh, we need a shovel, we need a shovel. And sure enough, we're digging up this giant thing we found in the ground, and it's a shovel. We actually metal detected our own shovel, and it's a perfect stubby size shovel. So it felt like we were in a video game almost, how you leveled up and we acquired an actual shovel. So it was fun metal detecting. I've never been before. It was my friends, and we found some coins and some pull tabs, but finding an actual shovel in the ground is pretty awesome. So I don't think we'll ever forget that. N6HA. Oh, this is Bodega Bay, is where this is taken at on the beach. N6HA.
Thank you, Bill. Hey, I like the leveling up analogy. Okay, I'm going to go to George, N6YG. George, do you have a picture for us?
As a matter of fact, I think I do. And how am I coming across? I'm on the headset.
Phone, I hear you perfectly.
All right, let me turn the monitor down a little bit and go over here and see what we have. I'm going to send a tone here. And go figure. I don't have anything. Let me restart the program here real quick. Gotta love SSTV. Find out why I don't have it. Yeah, go ahead to the next. I had disconnected my laptop and gone to my son's house, and I set it all back up, and now nothing's working. So
we'll come back to you, George. Okay. Anyway, this is Bill, K6KRQ, your net control. We're going to go see what Joel has for us, AI6DG. Do you have something for us, Joel?
Did I have tone?
Affirmative.
PD 120.
Right, excellent. We're going to go to the top to James, AE6JG. James, let's hear your commentary.
Thanks, Bill. Well, I got a very good quality picture coming through. One of the best, Joel, that I've ever had from you. I'm trying to figure out where this is. I don't know if it's Seattle or Las Vegas. I'm looking where that monorail is. That kind of reminds me of Las Vegas or Seattle. Anyway, really good picture, Joel. Very few pixel pops. AE6JG.
Thank you, James. I'm going to go, let's go to Bob, N6PGQ, and see what his commentary is.
Well, it's a very good picture. I worked real hard and got 6 pixel pops in the black at the top and bottom, so it's a very good quality. Looking at a picture of a monorail, and it obviously has 2 tracks, so one must, converge and then, go around a loop or something and then go back. We see a big sign that says Westgate, and then probably some kind of big LED display. Buildings and a tower in the background. I don't think it's Seattle, but again, I've been wrong. Has an American flag in the left side, and it's a very good picture. Be interested to know where it is.
Thank you, Bob. Any other commentary before I go back to Joel for an explanation?
Yeah, this is KP4MD, N6KEN ID'd on Morse code before that transmission, and I used Google Lens and I identified where that was. Amazing, but I'm not going to give it away. Back to you, KP4MD.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you, viewers. I think that's kind of cool. We got people watching us on YouTube. This is Bill, K6KRQ. I'm going to bring it back to Joel now. I got a pretty good, I know where it's at. I just have a hard time pinpointing the vantage point. So we're going to let Joel tell us. Go ahead there, Joel.
Yep, Las Vegas. This is looking north from the north end of the, what is it, Boingo? No, is it Boingo? Okay, what was the name? Hang on a moment. Boingo Station in Las Vegas, which is one of the two stops. I guess it is the stop at Las Vegas Convention Center. So, and I actually don't know if the train is coming or going. There's 2 tracks, so you've got 2 trains, and they basically each of them go from one end to the other end, and then go in reverse. And there are 2 tracks, but then that's because there's 2 trains going up and down, north and south. The big tower on the left is Fountain Blue or Font Blue, or I'm actually not sure how you're supposed to pronounce it. And I think it's one of those things where how you're supposed to pronounce it isn't how it's actually pronounced, because someone got so used to mispronouncing it so long that turned into the correct pronunciation. Obviously, the Westgate is the hotel that's to the right, but it's actually just off screen, even further right to the screen. A little bit of the Las Vegas Convention Center is kind of in the middle of the photo to the left and middle to the right. And that's the Stratosphere, or now called the Strat, the tower in the background on the right. So there's actually like a restaurant, a bar, amusement rides, an observation deck at the top of that, and it's actually a really neat view. You're like 1,100 feet in the air. Amazing view of the Las Vegas area, and I think that's one of the tallest observation decks on the West Coast, if not the tallest. Some of the other towers around are mostly actually residential. I don't know if there's condos or timeshares or what, but there's a lot of high-rise residential in Las Vegas, actually. Very nice day. I was probably quite exhausted between the heat and the amount of walking that I had been doing. I probably was just wanting to sit someplace and try to cool off. That's actually one of the nice things about sitting in the monorail at Las Vegas. It's a nice way to take in the sights and just let the city go by as you sit down in a nice air-conditioned train car. Back to net, AI6DG.
Thank you, Joel. That's a good picture. You know, I really like Las Vegas. The bazillions of times I've been there, I've never been to the top of the Strat. So That's one thing I got to do. Anyway, this is Bill, K6KRQ. We're going to see what Bob in northmost Roseville has for us, N6PGQ. Do you have something ready for us, Bob?
I do, and I've been changing wires, so let me check and see if we have tone.
Tone heard. Go ahead.
Okay, very good. This is PD 120 N6PGQ.
Thank you, Bob. We're going to go to Carol, KP4MD, see what Carol has to say, and if we have any other YouTube comments. Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. Yeah, James did type in there the military gun, all the details about the military guns in his picture. So that's there if you want to read it there. And I heard Ken, N6KEN, on the repeater sending his ID in Morse code, but he hasn't checked in on voice, so I don't know if he wants to join us on the net. So I really honestly don't know. But I asked him on the chat, but I don't know if he's logged into the chat. Ken, he's checked into this net in the past. Smoky picture with fire, and I wonder if that's from the fires going down in Los Angeles right now, because that's the only thing I know recently that's major. They have some people have died in those fires down there from the Santa Ana winds. So back over. But otherwise, the picture is great. I don't think I see a single pixel pop that I can identify in there. Just a lot of smoke, and you can see the fire. Back over to you, Bill. And thank you for doing this net. You're doing a great job, by the way. K6KRQ, this is KP4MD.
Thanks for that, Carol. Hey, before I go on, I'm very familiar with the areas that fire's burning, especially the Palisades. I had a lot of schoolmates that lived up there, so if any of them, I haven't seen any of them in years, but so I know very well what's going on there. The fires aren't that strange, but these winds are. They seem to be a little bit more than just the regular Santa Ana winds. Anyway, we're going to go to Bill, N6HA now, and see what his take is on this picture. Go ahead, Bill.
N6KEN.
Oh, hold on. N6KEN, would you like to check in?
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I've tried a few times, but you guys are really quick on the trigger. So I figured I would try CW and see if Carol picked me up, and she did. Hi.
Yeah, as much as like they work with me on CW, I wasn't able to. I'm glad she did. She mentioned it. All right, we're going to go for some commentary from Bill N6HA, and then we're going to keep you in the rotation. Go ahead, Bill, with what you got to say.
Yeah, a good quality photo, sad contents. I think I have a total of 1 pixel pop, and that's about it. So I came over very well. It looks like quite the fire line there. Hopefully it's defensive burning, but doesn't quite look like it. Yeah, I don't know where Bob would be to see fires like this. Maybe have a friend down in Southern California that's near the fires. So I've been seeing videos and pictures from that fire, and it's amazing how fast it's moving. I've never seen anything like this before. So yeah, it's unfortunate. So yeah, I wonder where this is at, Bob, and did you take it yourself? And I'm glad you got out. N6HA.
Okay, before we go to Bob for an explanation, any other comments on it? Okay, K6KRQ, N6PGQ. Bob, tell us about your photo.
Okay, well, my number 3 son took this picture with his iPhone from his office, and it's on Sepulveda Boulevard in Los Angeles, and it wasn't zoomed in or anything like that. It just was a horizontal picture taken by his iPhone, and the fires are pretty messy. He said the air looks exactly like it shows in the picture. It's real brown, and a lot of people fortunately had masks and are all wearing them. His home is 2 miles from the evacuation zone, so he's got all his important stuff all in a pile and his car full of gas, and crossing his fingers that the winds don't blow it into his house. Anyway, we're feeling for all the poor people in Southern California that have to endure this. The Santa Ana winds usually don't blow in January. N6PGQ.
Thanks for that, Bob. You know, my brother told me about an hour ago, I don't know how well you guys know the area, but in Santa Monica, that they were ordered to evacuate everything north of Wilshire Boulevard. That is like way down into the city, out of the hills. So I hope that's not true, but we'll see. So anyway, let's go to Carol, KP4MD. It is your turn to send a photo to us. Are you ready, Carol?
Yes, I am, and this is coming over PD 120.
right. Thank you, Carol. This is K6KRQ. Let's see if Ken got that, N6KEN, and if you have any thoughts on that. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, Roger. N6KEN. I received the image. A lot more pixely poppedly than everyone else has been. But got the full image. Looks like it was from the recent SSTV schedule from the ISS, and it was from Canada. I guess that'll be our 51st date, apparently. But, yep, back to net, N6KEN.
Thanks for that. Let's see if George is there, if he's got a comment, and if he might be ready for a transmission.
Yeah, I got that picture. Came over well. Quite a few pixel pops, but with these SSTV images, it's kind of hard to tell whether or not that's how you received it or if that's how I'm receiving the image. So, yep, SSTV image, N6PGQ, and it says KB4MD on the bottom. So, and I am ready to send another picture.
Okay, any other comments? I'm going to go to George, and then for a picture, then we'll do Ken. But any comments on this picture before we give George a shot?
AE6JG.
Go for it, James.
Yeah, I got pixel pops on the image on my computer, but from Carol's direct transmission on her own computer, she clearly downloaded an excellent quality image from the ISS. It's really impressive. There's almost no disturbance on it at all. So I'm looking at both pictures in contrast, and it's just impressive. Back to you, Bill, and thanks for running the net. You're doing an excellent job, AE6JG.
Thanks, James. I enjoy it. You know, I was kind of hoping somebody was going to come up with picture number 11. That's the only one I didn't get from this experiment. But anyway, this is Bill, K6KRQ. Let's go to George, N6YG, and see what he has for us. Go ahead, George.
All right, I just set the system up again, so I'm going to see if I have a tone. All right, seems like we've resolved Windows and its musical USB ports, so here we go, N6YG PD120.
is K6KRQ. I got that one good. Let's go to Joel, AI6DG, for some comments on this. Go ahead, Joel.
Nice shot, very few pops. So we've got a family, a husband and a wife and their two sons. Sons being, I don't know, let's say 12 and 6. I don't know ages. Looks like maybe they're at a church for a church event or something. They lined up for a photo, and they're looking off to our left at whoever's taking another photo, obviously. The younger son is a little, looks like he's a handful and not wanting to stand still to take a nice photo. You got a nice background with some wooden pieces in big triangles with some, I don't know if it's real or not, vegetation, branches, flowers, and it looks like the wife, they're holding a bouquet of white flowers of some kind. So what's the event and who are they? Back to net, AI6DG.
Thank you, Joel. James, AE6JG, what do you think?
It's a really nice picture. That, I think you're using that ICOM 9700, George. It just works well. Just a few pixel pops. I'm guessing this is your family, maybe your son and daughter-in-law, if I have that right, at some event, maybe a wedding or something. Very nice portrait. I did have to resync the picture, so did Carol, I see on the YouTube feed. But overall, very nice. Back to net control, AE6JG.
Thank you, James. Any more commentary before we go to George for an explanation?
Yeah, comment, N6DVN.
Go ahead, Ken.
Neat question. What happens when you have to resync? What made it do that, and what's the issue? Over.
Carol or George, you want to answer that? I see it kind of jerked around on YouTube, but it still looks good on my screen. You got an answer for Ken and the rest of us?
Yeah, it usually has something to do with Windows not being a real-time operating system. And so something interrupted the audio chain and the process. I'm looking here to see if it was on my end. Usually on TX, if you look, and I don't see it. Where do you go? It's under miscellaneous. Yeah, it's under the FIFOs. I don't know what's going on. My TX FIFO is set to 8. That should be set to 32. First in, that's an old RS-232 legacy setting. So it should be set to, if you go into your miscellaneous settings, make sure FIFO is set to 32 and 32. So that's the buffers, and my buffer was set to 8. I've been fighting with this all day now. I for some reason my MMS TV reverted back to some original settings. When I first received my image tonight, I had a wavy pattern going through it. I checked, and my demodulator was set to 0 crossing instead of Hilbert transform. So I switched it back over to Hilbert transform, and now I checked my FIFO buffers, and they were at the old default. So something forced MMS TV to go back to its default settings. So that's why that happened. So anybody else that's running MMS TV, make sure that your FIFOs are set to 32 and 32.
I just changed mine to see what happens. They were 12 and 8. Anyway, what about the picture, George? To me, it looks like they're at a wedding, but you tell us what's going on.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. On Friday, my son came by and picked me up, kind of a spur of the moment sort of thing. Barely had enough time to pack my backpack. So I thought I was going to go over for the day. I ended up spending 5 days over there again. I should know better. Every time he comes to pick me up, I should just grab both my backpack and my duffel bag. So yeah, it was a surprise. That's my new daughter-in-law and my son, and Nico, and my grandson Logan. The youngest is my grandson. Nico is Jenna's boy. Very smart young man. He's going to be a scientist or an engineer. I've got him started on Crunchbox, and been teaching him a little bit about electronics and stuff like that. So they kind of surprised me, and they got married on Friday. So I got an I told you so out of this. I remember a few years ago when they were running through a rough patch, and they had broken up, and Jenna was calling me every night on the phone. I kept telling her not to worry about it, that I know my son, that eventually they'll get married. And so I got an I told you so and a pitcher of margaritas out of it. So that's kind of an interesting little story on how they met. My son had just come out of the Army, discharged. He's a U.S. Army Ranger, and he was at a medical appointment, going to a doctor's appointment, and she was working there as well. I think she was a receptionist, and she ran into his Jeep in the parking lot. She got blinded by the sun and hit him while she was in his parking space, and she ran into him, and that's how their relationship started. Right now she's in school, and she's studying to be a nurse, and she's at the top of her class, so I'm really happy. I just got home a couple hours ago. I've been there since Friday, so back to Net, N6YG. That's why, by the way, why I didn't make it to the club meeting.
Thanks for that, George. That's a good story, and good for you, too. That's nice. All right, let's, how about Ken? November 6, Kilo Echo November. Do you have a picture for us that you might want to send, Ken? Come on.
Yeah, very good, N6KEN, and thanks for sharing that story. That's an awesome way to meet someone. I'm glad it seems to be working out. I finally got MM switcher working, so that I can switch and use MM SSTV with both my 9700 and my 7300. But I just bought a 7610, so looking forward to adding that to my shack. So maybe next time. I downloaded this image. I don't know. It looks interesting. If you have your sound on, there's supposed to be some sound, so we'll see. I'm going to be sending Scotty one.
sounded like you had to make a mid-course correction there. You got anything to say about that, Ken, before I'm going to send it to Carol to see if she can decipher it?
Yeah, it's KP4MD. Obviously, there was very low modulation, very low deviation for the top like third of the picture, and it sounded like there was an open microphone. And I typed that in, and I think Ken saw that on the chat. So then he switched something, and then it started coming through clearly. I think there may be some writing in the top 4 lines, but that's not legible because the modulation was way too low. So it's all snowy, the top third of the picture. And some kind of a plaid pattern, the lower 2/3 with a kind of like a black long triangle along the bottom edge there. I really don't know what else to make of this. Back over to you, it's KP for MD.
Thank you, Carol. How about you, Bill, N6HA? What are you thinking about this?
Yeah, a very cool image. I've actually seen this before and played it for myself because it's an interesting way to because, you know, SSTV is just sound modulation at the end of the day. So if you modulate the correct way, you could make it sound pretty cool and also display something. So I think this is a test pattern to kind of demonstrate you could play tones and still get somewhat of an image. So it's a pretty cool little thing. I don't remember what it says up top, but I have seen this image before, so it's quite the show. It makes me wonder if there's more of these that exist, or maybe even a way to generate them. So I have spent some time thinking about that. So it's pretty cool. It'd be fun to find more of these, though. So yeah, N6HA back tonight.
Thank you, Bill. Any other input before I go back to Ken? Nothing heard. Yeah, Scotty 1, that's a new one for me. I've not seen anybody transmit that. And I did hear it, like Carol said, I heard an open mic. I thought I heard a kind of an oh no in there before the picture cleared up. But let's hear what you got to say about it, Ken.
Yeah, Roger, you are spot on. I forgot to turn off my microphone on my settings, so instead of just going straight out the USB. But Bill was also correct. Yeah, as I was sitting here listening to all the previous images and the beautiful sounds of slow scan television, I started making a thought that, I wonder if anyone has converted an image to actually play like a tune or something. And so I Googled that, and I came up with this image. So the top of it that you can't see, but you can Google for it, it says slow scan television uses 1200 to 2300 hertz tones, but this image generates sidebands from 2 fast frequency changes. Think AM with a 2 kilohertz carrier to generate tones below 1000 hertz, and it says to listen to it. So it's supposed to produce the sounds below 100,000 hertz, and that was the point of it. But thank you for your patience, N6KEN.
It is definitely our pleasure. Thanks for that, Ken. We're getting close to the top of the hour. With everyone's indulgence, I'm going to send a picture. I got another one. I don't think we've seen this one yet. Is that going to be okay?
N6PGQ.
All right, here we go. It'll be PD 120. This is Bill, K6KRQ. I think I've done a pretty good job of mixing it up for commentary. Let's go to Bob, N6PGQ. We haven't heard from him in a minute. What say you, Bob?
Well, very good quality. Says the girl guiding Surrey West, UK contact with Her Royal Highness Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, or I guess it's Edinburgh if you're English. Nice quality, a couple of scan lines right through the middle, and be interested to know why they chose this to transmit it from the International Space Station. And I don't know if I slept through it or not, but I don't think Carol ever described her picture. Anyway, be interested to know about this, N6PGQ.
You know what? That's probably like me, the beginning net operator, forgot. I'm sorry about that, Carol.
Yeah, don't worry. I didn't want to scold the net control. And you people pretty much said everything. But I just felt really bad the last net. A lot of people shared ISS pictures, and I had not captured a single one. So there were still 2 days left of that event. So that was, I caught about 18 pictures over those 2 days, and that was the best one that I received. And my picture was really snowy because I forgot to bump up my power. I'm still only on 5 watts here. So back to you.
Thanks. Hey, if you've got, this is number 6 out of 12. If you got number 11, or anybody, I'd like to see it on the next net. But anyway, I'm glad you said that you were going to try to get them near the tail end. I'm glad you got something from them. So is there any other commentary?
Actually, I do.
Go for it, George.
No, this is James. A girl guiding Surrey West. I'm not sure what that's about. That's a very English phrase, some sort of mentoring or training with Her Royal Highness Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. So quality came through. The middle sort of disrupted by something with the signal. But excellent job capturing this image, Bill, AE6JG.
Thank you. As far as I know, the Girl Guides are the equivalent of the Girl Scouts here in the U.S.
Comment?
Go comment.
Yeah, it's Stuart, N6TVN. I'm just looking this up. Girl Guiding is the operating name of the Guide Association, previously named the Girl Guides Association. It's the national guiding organization of the UK. It's the UK's largest girl-only youth organization. Over.
Well, ask and I shall receive. Very good. That's good information. I'm not sure where to go here. Carol had mentioned that Stuart had some questions. Is there still time for that, Carol and James, or do I need to close the net?
I had a comment.
Go ahead on comment.
All right, good deal. The previous station who had sent an image and had to switch over to the digital input, I forgot which station was that. Who was that?
That was Ken, N6KEN.
Okay, thank you. And what radio are you using? Ken, what radio are you using?
N6KEN. Are you still there?
Yeah, this is N6KEN. Go ahead.
I was asking what radio you were using.
Oh, sorry. I turned the radio down a little bit. I'm using a IC 9700.
Okay, I'm assuming that when you sent your image, you had to switch over to FM digital out of FM.
Yeah, I have presets for slow scan TV and FT8 and packet and whatnot. I have the presets. And the slow scan TV preset, I didn't have it set to FM data. So I had to, I noticed it and then had to manually turn that on.
Okay, I have, send me an email at my call sign, N6YG at hotmail.com or QSL.net, and I will send you some cat commands for that radio that you can put inside the MMS TV configuration that will automatically switch the radio from FM to FM digital when you start sending the image, and then when the image is done sending, it will automatically switch it back over to FM. That'll allow you to talk on the microphone and allow the MMS TV to switch the radio to digital mode automatically.
Yeah, I think you're the one that actually got me searching for the MM switcher program, and I think you offered that, and I never wrote your call sign down. And I got the hotmail.com. Can you respond one more time with the call sign?
Yeah, N6YG, November 6 Yankee Golf.
I actually had it. I thought I was missing a character there. Okay, very good. I will send you an email and look for that. That'll be awesome.
Alrighty, N6YG back to net.
Hey, thanks for that, George. So, as I was saying, I know Stuart, N6DVM, had some questions for the group, and I know it's after the top of the hour. Is that okay, Carol and James?
Yeah, go ahead, Stuart.
I'll keep it brief. What I'll do is I'll ask questions in the next coming weeks as I try out new methods. So I just wanted to say that, first of all the transmissions tonight were fantastic, and I'm learning a lot from all of you. As you probably know, for some of you, that I'm new to this, and I tried a sort of ad hoc transmission last week and was pretty happy with it given the low-level technology. But I have a new setup and new radio and a DigiRig mobile, and I'm trying different types of software. I do use Windows, but I'm not a fan, and so I have tried the Ionic fork of MMS TV, and I'm actually pretty happy with Multiscan 3B on the Mac. So I'll try that. But the other question, and I'll just throw it out there for feedback later, or anyone wants to send me a comment somehow through email, etc., is I also acquired the VTech UV Pro HT. It's also known as the VGC or Vericom VR N76, which is an HT that has now a full KISS TNC built in, and the HT runs off a phone app for the most part, and the phone app has SSTV built in, and it's pretty nice, actually. It's simple, but it works pretty well. I'm happy with it. So I guess the question I have is anyone familiar with it? Anyone using it and have any feedback? Maybe we can talk about it next week. That's it. Stuart, N6DVM.
Thank you, Stuart. I personally don't have any experience with it. Is there any commentary from the group before I move to close?
Other than the fact that I'm familiar with the radio and have seen it, that's it. I haven't played around with it.
Okay, thank you, George. Next go around, maybe we can kick it around again, Stuart. Okay. So if there's no more comments, I'm going to move to close. Okay, this was a good group tonight. I'm impressed. Quite a few pictures, and from what Carol said, quite a few on on YouTube too. So here we go with the closer. I want to thank all who participated in tonight's SSTV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Bring your friends. The net is officially closed at 10:11 p.m. This is Bill, K6KRQ, wishing all of you a good evening. 73, and thank you so much.
And Bill, if it's okay with you, I'm going to send the traditional closing image.
Fire it up. I'll watch for it. Maybe that should be a trend, like George sending the final image. Hey, you know, if that like call sign there, G1GGTY, it looks like it's got some kind of significance to the cartoon, but it's going over my head.
Giggity, that was his catchphrase. I forgot what this character's name was. He would always say giggity. So I just wrote it up as G1GGTY. My wife is laughing. She's sound asleep, but she heard that and she's laughing.
All right, well, I kind of got the giggity right. Okay, very good. That picture came through real good, a few pops, but that's it.
So there was no shift, no splitting?
No, you know what? The first one you sent, I saw it did like that jerk, like shift, and then it straightened up, and then it was perfect on my screen. It looked much better than it did on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on a laptop, and I pulled this laptop off when I go to my son's house. Well, I used to take my lab computer over there, and then I gave my lab computer to my wife to use, because my kids gave me a brand new gaming computer for the laboratory. And so I started taking this computer over, and that just turned out to be a big mistake, because every time I disconnect this computer from the USB hub and from everything plugged into it and hook it back up, everything's changed. You saw it today. I went to go send an image. Of course, it doesn't know where the radio's at. And of course, the radio changed COM ports. Typical Windows musical COM port things. and all my settings for MMS TV kind of were like skewed around too, so had to kind of fix those. And one of the things with laptops you have to be careful with MMS TV or any digital mode is the power saving features. So you have to turn off all the power saving because it could cause interrupts in the audio chain and cause issues with anything that uses the sound card. So, and I had forgotten to do that because I had the laptop over there and I had maximum energy saving on.
This is Bill, K6KRQ. You know, I use a laptop too, like hooked up to big monitors, and I had it disconnected today, but I was wary of just what you were talking about when I hooked it back up. I did it well before this net and made sure everything was still working before, because I know it does what you said. The musical COM ports and other stuff goes lulu, but this one's not too bad with that.
Yeah, and as usual, I got home. My son dropped me off, like, a half an hour before the net, and so by the time I get everything hooked back up, the net's starting, and I'm still plugging wires in. So, trying to get everything set back up. Really, with this stuff, you just need to have a dedicated computer that you don't shut down and just everything stays connected all the time. I'm hooked up to the 9700 as well. And it's been a good radio for this, for the most part. It's nice having the built-in sound card. But I've used it. Been doing this net. I used an ICOM or the FT847. I've used mobile 2-meter rigs and 4-foot dual banders and so on. So yeah, you can do it just about anything.
Break.
Go ahead, break.
Bill, this is James. I'm going to sign off, but I wanted to thank you again for running the net. You did an excellent job. Thanks for doing it.
Thanks, James. Hey, man, I enjoy it, so thanks for giving me the opportunity. This is K6KRQ.
AE6JG. Good night, guys.
Yeah, I wanted to double that and say, yeah, you did a great job. Get to see new net controls jump in there and take over. Blood.
This might sound corny, but hey, it's the least I can do. You guys have been like a big help to me, so I appreciate it.
Well, it's a fun net. This is out of everything I do in this hobby. This is one of the few nets I actually do my best to try to join in every week. I've been I forgot how many years we've been doing it, but try to jump in here regardless of how tired I am, or like today, I just barely got home and pulled my laptop out of the backpack and tried to get it set up in time. And it's kind of it's a mess to do. I got wires to clean up again. Hopefully, eventually this hobby will clean itself up. Man, I look at this station. That's one of my annoyances. Between the ADHD and obsessive compulsiveness, wires and cables are my nemesis. They drive me crazy. Cleaning them, dusting them, trying to, make everything look neat. It's impossible to make things look neat when you got, 20 coaxes coming to your house and power cables and wires from the computer. It's just a mess.
Hey, man, as much as I try to, tidy up cables, cable management and all that, I'm never a success. But I'll tell you this, without minimizing anybody else's contribution, in the short time I've been doing it, I miss it when you or Bill N6HA or Carol aren't here, because I really appreciate the technical aspects and explanations. I mean, I was a technician in my other life, right, on processing machines, but I couldn't hold your guys' tool bag. So, thanks for being there. K6KRQ.
I'll just add that I've been a ham radio operator for 4 months, and I'm sitting here with 3 radios stacked on my desk, and I've got a Pelican case full of crap, with all kinds of connectors and adapters, and it never seems to end. And I'm afraid what will happen in 5 years from now. But it's been fun to explore and to experiment, and I'm learning a lot from all of you. So thanks. N6DVN.
Well, welcome to the hobby. Yeah, Pelican case full of connectors and stuff. That's well, you're getting the right start. You would probably pass out if you came over to my house.
Yeah, surprise me someday. I'd like to see that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, 40 years of collecting adapters and connectors and what have you. So you get to the point where you realize that there's a lot of this stuff you just can't run down to the, well, you can't, we don't have Radio Shack anymore. We don't have any place. You just can't get in your car and drive someplace anymore to buy what you need. So you end up collecting things, everything that you think you might possibly could need, and holding on to it. And I've got boxes and cases, and it's just you get to the point of sorting things. How do you sort adapters? I got boxes of adapters that I use in my lab for my test gear, from N connector, APC to SMA. And so how do you sort these? Do you sort them by the largest connector to the smallest connector? Do you do are all the PL259s? You put all PL259s in one drawer with going to all the various SMA and TNC connectors. And just yeah, when you have this disorder that requires that everything be organized, and you're in a hobby like this, it requires drugs.
One thing some notion I have that so I'm gathering things and acquiring equipment because I want to try new things and experiment and see what works best for me. What's the best fit? And I have this notion that I will eventually harmonize on the same equipment, because we have some redundancy. I've got a radio in the shack, and I've got 2 cars. I'm split between 2 homes. And so I have this idea that I'll eventually find the ideal radio, and then I'll get rid of all the other radios, and I'll get multiples of that radio so that I don't have to relearn how to program it in a muscle memory, and I'll just settle on some redundancy. But I doubt that'll happen.
N6YG, muscle memory. Well, I don't hear people use that term very often. It's very apropos. Anyhow, yeah, ham radio is kind of like the medical profession a little bit. As far as a hobby is concerned, it's so diverse that when you first come into the hobby, it becomes extremely overwhelming. You have no idea where you're going to settle. Because there's so many avenues. It's just a huge, diverse hobby, and so usually what I tell people when they first come to the hobby and they're looking for like a radio, I say get a Shack in the Box, get a radio that does everything, 2 meters, 440, all the way up to HF, as many features as it can, and because you don't know where you're going, and so that allows you to experiment with all the aspects of the hobby. And eventually your interests are going to narrow, and you're going to learn what you like, and then you can move on from there. The next radio you buy, you'll have a better idea of what you want. But trying to buy your first radio and reading and watching reviews and all that, that's just frustration in the making. Just buy the radio that does everything, Shack in the Box, very first radio, and then just enjoy the hobby and allow it to manifest, and you'll figure out what you like as you go along.
So why don't we have more Shack in the Boxes? I mean, I've been looking at the 991, for example, and there aren't many. And I'm curious to why, if you have any comments on that.
Because generally they are, a Shack-in-the-Box radio is a jack of all trades but master of none. You get radios like, the FT847, which is a Shack-in-the-Box 160 through 440. The 991, I think, does the same thing. And so they're kind of average across all the bands. They don't really do anything spectacularly, but they do everything well. And so the hobby kind of has this little, well, with the internet and YouTube now, kind of has this specmanship sport going on. And that's an avenue of the hobby that I try to encourage people to stay away from. Specmanship is where you are comparing performance on paper and laboratory. When you have two pieces of equipment and you can only tell the difference in performance of those two pieces of equipment on a laboratory bench, then the average consumer should ignore it. It doesn't matter for you. That's just that there's an entire group of people, and I'm probably one of those people who enjoys that, where you test equipment and you do it on a lab, and you can measure minute differences in performance. But in the real world, those differences don't really matter. And so, unfortunately, far too many people take that too seriously, and pieces of equipment get bad reputations unfairly. They're good equipment that work well for 90% of people who would use them, but because some website posted that it wasn't really good at this by a very small fraction compared to another radio, then it gets a bad reputation. People don't buy it, even though they don't understand what they were looking at.
Yeah, I get that, and that's also analogous to biomedical research. We do bench research, which may not apply to patients at all. I've worked in translational medicine and called bench to bedside, and we try to accelerate advancements in bench science to patient care. And we have to end up doing prospective research and random controlled trials and those kinds of things to really figure out whether it's going to work or not. I fully understand that, and that makes sense. So, yeah, thanks for that.
Alrighty. Well, I was hoping someone else would jump in there with a comment as well, so let's see.
Hey, I got one. This is K6, KRQ. Hey, George, you know what? For what it's worth, I like it when you tell us about those product evaluations that you do from time to time. That's pretty good.
That's funny. Yeah, I enjoy doing those. You know what's interesting about that is the most popular reviews and evaluations I do are the most negative. For some reason, people love it when I absolutely hammer a product. Manufacturers don't love it, but people reading them love them.
Hey, when you do that, are you just telling the manufacturer what you think, or do you publish it somewhere?
No, the manufacturer has no control over what I say. Once so no, yeah, they get published. They get published on, mostly Amazon, and I've had manufacturers complain that my reviews were too harsh. I did a review recently on a converter for RV converter, which is a device that goes into a motorhome or an RV that takes 120 volts and keeps the batteries charged and acts like a power supply. And so I did a really harsh review on one of those. Absolute piece of junk. I wouldn't. I warned people against buying it. So no UL listing, no ETL listing. This thing was just, it was danger. You know, it's designed to go into a mobile environment with vibrations and shaking and bumps and so on, and giant capacitors weren't potted to the board. Just poor construction all around. That thing was a fire waiting to happen.
So, you know, you can see how those are the most entertaining reviews. But you know what? I read the you know, reviews that are good. I take it into account. But the ones that blast junk, they're definitely the most amusing and maybe most informative.
Surprisingly enough, I've discovered that if I have a couple drinks and get some liquid lubrication in me before I write that review, they're much funnier. And some of those reviews that I've done that way have thousands of reactions to them, positive reactions on Amazon. I'm actually in the top 20 Amazon reviewers right now.
That's neat. Yeah, you know, just keep on when the occasion arises. Keep on letting us know about it.
Sheer boredom. That's how that happened. I got injured several years ago and can't work. I'm stuck in the house most of the time, and so you have to keep your mind active, or you'll go nuts. I mean, my companionship is 2 German shepherds, and you don't get a whole lot of intellectual conversation out of them. What I get out of them is a lot of panning and pet me, but so that's how I got in that. I found that writing and it helps a lot, and so then I got recruited after that. After I started getting a lot of reactions to my reviews, I got recruited into that whole program.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's a service. I mean, if I'm like researching something to buy on Amazon, I read the review things. I read a whole lot of them, and I try to take this and that and make my best choice. I don't just pay attention to the 5 stars or the 1 stars. I weigh it all out. So it is a service.
Yeah, Amazon used to have a lot of decent products, but it's become inundated with cheap Chinese imports. A lot of the stuff, it's the same product over and over again. 300 manufacturers all selling the same product with their name badge on it. It's what Amazon has become, at least for a lot of electronic stuff. So you really have to be careful on what you buy there. Some of this stuff, some of the craziest names they come up with. A manufacturer will get a bad reputation, like, I'll write a bad review on a product, and I've seen them do this. And so you know what, they just changed the name of the company, the seller. They just changed their name and remarketed it under a different name.
What I'm most afraid of, and it's a big fear for like successful American companies, is are counterfeits, where they got this company's name on it, but it's really made of Chinesium or something. People think they're buying the American product as junk, so their reputation can suffer.
Honeywell, a bunch of manufacturers are licensing their name to manufacturers, so they make more money licensing their name. So yeah, I agree. I'm very cautious about anything electronic off of Amazon. I warn anybody, if you got your ham shack or motorhome or anything that connects up to mains power, if it connects up to that wall outlet, it either better have a CL listing or an ETL listing or a UL listing or a CE listing, and then check it. Even if you're buying it on Amazon, they counterfeit that stuff. If you get a product and you'll see that CE or ETL or UL listing, if you take that number and go over and look it up at the website, quite often that number will come back to a completely different product. They'll just print whatever. They'll steal an ETL number and put it on their product. And so generally, like in a motorhome or in a house, I won't plug anything into the wall that's not either ETL or UL listed. And there's a reason for that. Reset. Most homeowners' insurance policies have a clause in them that says that you must take reasonable. One of them is you must take reasonable precautions to ensure the safety and protection of your own property. And two, a lot of homeowners insurance policies specifically require either UL or ETL listing on appliances plugged into outlets. And so if they don't have that certification, if the insurance company can get away with claiming that that product caused the fire, then they can deny your claim, and then you're on the hook for any damages.
You know what? This is K6KRQ. You know what? I never thought about that, about the CE and the UL listings. That's some sage advice. I'll take that into account from now on.
Yeah, it's good to do that. I'm not saying that all the products on Amazon and coming in from China are bad. I'm just saying that you have to be cautious of anything that plugs into your wall outlet, and make sure that that it meets minimum safety requirements. And I've seen some crap. I mean, some of the reviews I've posted have been just insane. Especially with it coming to safety grounds, because I open up this equipment. I'll open it up. Before I even plug it in, I won't plug anything into my wall that comes in for review. All right, I mean, the first thing I do is the cover comes off. I videotape everything and I inspect it. And the crap I find in some of this stuff just boggles my mind. I mean, to the point where I won't even plug it in. There's a lot of stuff that they send me to review never gets plugged in. Some of it, if I'm interested in it, I'll kind of repair or modify their mistakes, or fix their mistakes, and test it. And a lot of times, like one of the biggest mistakes I find is the earth ground being soldered to the chassis, and that's a no-no when it comes to ETL or UTL listing. Earth grounds need to be crimped. No solder connections for an earth ground, because obviously if you get a short, you get high current, things get hot. Solder connection can just let loose. So, not to hold it too long, like on one of the last devices I checked, so I'm checking the ground. I got my DVM, and I'm checking from neutral to ground, and then from the ground to chassis to see for continuity, and I got nothing. I'm checking the ground lug to chassis. There's nothing there, so I open it up and look at it. And for some reason, in their infinite wisdom, they decided to use heat shrink on the ground wire. And they didn't bother to trim it back, so the heat shrink was actually preventing the ground wire from making contact. And on top of that, they had used a wing nut to clamp this wire in place. And it was just a wing nut, no washers, just a wing nut. So, that was an easy repair. I pulled the wire off. I trimmed the heat shrink away. It's a ground wire. Why do you have heat shrink over the crimp on a ground wire? It's unnecessary. So I trimmed the heat shrink away, and I put what do you call it, serrated washer in there, and a locking washer, nylon locking washer on top of it. And so I fixed that, and then the ground was fine, and I went ahead and tested it, and it was a decent device. It was a power supply. This was actually a power supply intended for radio equipment.
Question?
Go ahead.
Have you modified your reviews in any way in light of fake spot analysis to perhaps make it work better with fake spot, or to be better recognized by fake spot as a genuine review? Over.
No, I haven't. I'm actually Googling that.
Fake spot is a analysis tool that operates mostly on Amazon in the past, although other sites as well. Mozilla bought it, and now they use AI. And what it does is it runs through all the reviews on Amazon and tries to pick out reviews that are fake or not genuine, and gives it a score. They've run into some trouble in the past, but it's been, again, retooled, and it's a pretty good tool. Fake spot, just like a fake spot.
No, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, no, I'm familiar with this. I haven't been lately. I'm going to add to Chrome. Yeah, this study. So you let this look at your review first?
So there's a browser plugin, and if you're on Amazon, I haven't used it in a while, actually. I haven't used it since Mozilla bought it. Actually, I got rid of it. But you use it as a plugin, and so when you go to Amazon, it'll detect that you're on Amazon, it'll look at reviews, and you can click on it, and it'll open up, and do an analysis for you. If it's done a recent analysis, it'll pop up right away and give you a score and feedback on why it's been critical of the reviews on that particular product. If it has not done an analysis in a while, it will ask to rerun one, and it'll, depending on the number of reviews, it'll take maybe from, I don't know exactly, maybe 30 seconds to a minute or two to do a new analysis, and then update the score.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's looking for AI assisted reviews. A lot of people use AI to write reviews, and so this detects that. So all my reviews are handwritten or dictated. I use voice dictation most of the time to write most of my reviews, and then go back and read them and try to correct all the mistakes. I try to keep them as natural sounding as possible. So it reads the way I try to write my reviews at about a 4th to 6th grade level, so most people can read them and understand them.
Great, that's fascinating. I'll take a look. I'm going to bed. Good night, you too. N6NA I'm clear.
Good night, Stuart. Have a good evening.